Hello lovely people, it's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. It's been a good day. Mr. Stitches and I have the week off. We aren't going away for our anniversary this year, but that means I get to stay home and play with my sewing machine. I know I've said this before, but when we go to Airbnbs, I always wish I'd taken my sewing machine. We did go away in October for a few days, so it's not like we haven't been out of town at all. But yeah, this is going to be just a stay-at-home week, and hopefully we'll get some fun activities included. Like tomorrow, we're going to a Christmas market and, have a walk somewhere different maybe, and have a cup of tea at our favorite tea shop. And obviously, I will be spending some time in here as well, undoubtedly. I spent a lot of time in here today, and I am going to be showing you what I made and how I made it. I've added to the gift bag for Mr. Stitch's 65th birthday, which is happening this week. So stick around if you want to see what I made. First, I will show you the knitting progress, which I am very pleased about. I think the last time you saw this, in the last vlog, I had only done the ribbing. So now I am up to the armhole. Look at that yarn, isn't it great? So Christmassy, very festive, I think you'd call that. We've got the gingerbread, the pink, the red, the blue. So we've come full circle around back to the gingerbread again. And I think I am just about at the 13-inch length that I need for my body, for the torso. And then I will be binding off some stitches at the armhole. And then you work the front flat and the back part flat. So because I usually knit continental, but when I knit flat and I knit one way and purl back, I do tend to row out. So you can see that if you look on the back, you can see my purl stitches are a bit looser than my knit stitches when I'm knitting continental. So what I may have to do is knit continental and purl throwing English style, if it bothers me enough. I may not bother. I don't know. It's not like people are going to be looking at the back of my work. But yes, this is lovely and squishy, and I'm enjoying the yarn. I've had one knot that I did cut out and retie, just so that I wasn't relying on the knot that was tied in the factory. And there have been a couple of slubby bits, shall we say, where the yarn has been a little bit under twisted and fuzzy, and I've left those in. They didn't feel like they were going to break or anything, and they went just a little bit thicker. But when you're knitting in the round and you're just pushing any thickness, extra thickness to the back of the work, it doesn't really show on the front. And even if it did, I'm not that bothered by it. I haven't weighed how much of the yarn I've used yet, but I was talking to my sister today on Facebook Messenger video chat, and I did this. And she said, wow, that is a big ball. It's massive. It doesn't really look like it's shrunk since I've started knitting, but obviously it has. It's absolutely stonking huge. So that's going to go back in the bag, and I don't really want to work on any crochet right now, because this is just interesting me so much that crochet has taken a back seat. Oh, I forgot to say, it's the Vested Interest sweater vest from Drops Design, and it's a free pattern, because most Drops patterns are free because they want to sell their yarn and give you a pattern to use it with. They are European, so they tend to be quite succinct patterns. They don't hold your hand and over-explain things like a lot of newer designers do. So sometimes people can have a bit of difficulty with them, but this is a really basic vest. It's just a bunch of ribbing, a bunch of stockinette, make armholes. I'm going to have some little bit of shaping, I suppose, for the armholes and for the scoop neck. It's funny, I haven't constructed a sweater like this in a really long time. You know, way back when we all made sweaters like this. Actually, we usually used to do it flat. So you'd start with the front, you'd work all the way up, do all the faffing about with the armhole shaping and the neck shaping, and then you'd have to do it all again with the back. Whereas this one, at least, the body is made in the round. But as I said, it can mess around with the tension. If your tension worked flat is different from your tension worked in the round, which mine can be. A few weeks ago, I made some button trees, and I'm absolutely in love with them. I have quite the button stash, and so I made a blue button tree with a hanging loop, so I can hang it on my Yule tree or anywhere really. And I made a pink one, and I made a green one. So all it is graduated sizes of button and then a few small brown ones for a trunk. And for these, I went up through the buttons, around and down, knotted it at the bottom, knotted it at the top, and then it makes nice, neat hanging loop. So I found those absolutely cute. And so I made some even smaller ones for earrings in a rainbow of buttons with a couple of little brown ones at the bottom. And these ones, I went from the top down and up and then tied them to a split ring. Put a little bit of fray stop on there so that the cord wouldn't come undone. And I've worn those a lot since I made them. Had a few compliments on them. So today, before I get down to what my other idea for this afternoon is, I thought I want to try a button mushroom or toadstool, because toadstools are my thing this December for sure. I found a large red button. Unfortunately, my button collection is a little thin on red buttons, which is a bit sad. But I have a couple of other likely contenders there. I'm going to stick with this one, and I'm going to put this white one underneath it to be the underside of the cap. And then I've got these little graduated ones. So what I will do is I will start, let me think about this, because I want it to be a hanging decoration again. So I will start from the bottom like I did with the first trees I made. So I'm just going to go up. If there are 2 holes, it's perfect. But if there are 4, I just go through the 2 ones that are opposite so that they hang level. And I just picked out any old needle from my hand sewing needle box where the eye was big enough to put some embroidery thread through, and then for the tip to go through a button hole or a hole in a button, depending on how you look at it. That one's interesting. It's got a little bit of brown on the side. I was just making sure there that it wasn't damaged. Now the question is that's going to be a long enough... Oh, it's tiny. Once you put them together, it doesn't look like anything at all. I think I'm going to take those off and just add some more in. How's that for an interesting button? Okay, I'm going to try with that. Give it another go. Doesn't have to be any particular size. has to look proportional. Let's see, I knocked that. I feel like that one looks smaller, but it could just be that it's thinner. Hard to say. They'll look better once there's two strands joining them all. At the moment, they're going to be looking all wonky. When I was at work yesterday, we had an insane amount of snow. This is why I like working at the till. If I'm going to be helping out on till, I like to be at the one where you can see out the window. But it was very wet snow, very slushy. So when I left the store, I got rather wet feet because I only had my Skechers. I didn't have my snow boots or anything with me. But it hasn't hung around. Most of it's melted now. Today is windy, but we have had some sunshine, which was nice for when we went out for our walk. Oh, great. Now I'm losing I'm losing them off the other end. This didn't happen with my other ones. I must have either cut a longer piece of cord or I kept better track of it all. All right, that's one side finished. Now let's just go back here. I was showing my sister my earrings today, and she said that I should send her a photograph of them, the trees, because she works for a charity that upcycles a lot of things, and they make things to resell to support the charity. And she said they get a lot of buttons. So what they could do is they could make little ornaments like mine. I think that's pretty good. I like the proportion of that. What I think I'm going to have to put some little dots of acrylic paint on the top of the red to make it look more toadstool-like. It's funny, isn't it? There's so many names for that red and white toadstool thing. Fly agaric. And then I can never remember the name of it. It's Aminata Masca something. I'll probably put it on the screen. But yeah. Iconic. It's definitely an iconic mushroom. So I decided how long I wanted my hanging loop to be, and I just knotted it here. And now I'm just tying it here. I'm going to do a few knots. Do I need to put glue on it? I don't know if I put glue on these. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. But I used a different cord for this. It should be fine. There's not going to be a lot of stress on it, and it's not like I'm going to be handling this a lot. It's just going to be hanging. How cute is that? I think I might have to make another one. I think those are really cute. Now I'm going to grab some white acrylic paint. think this is my tiniest brush tip. So I am going to do a few little dots on the red. I probably need to think ahead about what I'm going to put them on while they dry. I'd like to reach right behind that string just to get one little dot back there. Whew. This needs a steady hand. All right, now I can do the other one. I have to remember to rinse my brush off at some point soon. But that is that for the toadstools. So I'm going to leave those to dry. And then we'll have another look at them when they are completely finished. If you were here for this bag, this drawstring bag that I made for Mr. Stitch's birthday present, you'll have seen this beautiful turtle batik which I used for it. I put some Body Shop product in there, but there's still a ton of room in there, and as it's not his birthday for a couple more days yet, I thought I might add something in. So I just looked up one of those corner bookmark tutorials, the ones where the bookmark slips onto the corner of the page and then you shut the book and it keeps your place. And Mr. Stitches is always reading, so thought I would make one. I've still got the black thread in there from that bag the other day. See how much bobbin thread I've got in there. Oh, I think it'll be okay. It's a very, very small project. So what I decided to do is use the turtle fabric for the outside of the bookmark, and then for the folded part I've got this bit with more purple on it, slightly lighter. Cut it out of a perfect size scrap. So I just looked up on YouTube corner bookmark tutorial, and Notch's Sewing came up top of the heap. And you know I like her because I made one of her tutorials in the last video I made. So we are going to run this up, and if all goes well, it should be super quick. I just made a few notes as I watched the video. All you do is you cut 3 squares that are 4 inches. They don't have to be the same fabric, they can be whatever you want, and you put some lightweight non-woven fusible on the back, which I have already done. Now what I need to do is fold one of them in half. This is the one I want for my triangular shaped piece, so I'm just going to fold it and press it with my itty bitty iron over here. Ta-da! And all you need to do is you put this in between these 2 pieces. Now I need to think about this. I need to think about what pieces of fabric are going to be showing and whether it matters if they're the right way up. I don't think I'm going to be fussing about it too much, but ideally I'd like my turtles to be the right way up. So I think I should have them right way up to start. I think this is prettier. Let's go with that. Line up that triangle with that one. Put that one down, right sides together. And then I'll make just a really quick little mark on here with a pen, if I can find a pen right here, because I need to leave a little turning gap, whoops, in here somewhere, like so. Don't think there's any need to pin it. Now I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance as per the tutorial. Sewed all the way around, leaving that little turning gap where I put my pen marks away from the triangle, so in the 2-layer part. And then you've just got to do a bit of trimming, get rid of the bulky stuff. I suppose you could use pinking shears for that as well. Just going to go all the way around, I think. Except for, it's not a good idea to trim too close here, because when you turn it right side out, it's easier if you've got the full seam allowance when you're finishing off the last step. You just grab a paintbrush and pushing it through. Now I've just got to turn it out. I hope I left myself a decent amount of space. I did consider making a few of these, but I have another idea for something I want to make for him, so I'm just going to make one for now. And then I am going to go, whoops, look for another tutorial which I have used before for something else. This is day 1 of 9-day stretch where I have time off. Mr. Stitches and I, for at least 15 years, have always gone away at this time of the year for our anniversary. But we left it a bit late to book anything this time, and we did go away in October, admittedly. So it's a staycation, as they call it. And I want to make the most of being at home without any shifts to worry about. So I'm hoping to make this week. Sort out the decor for my kitchen windowsill with a nice winter theme. I went out earlier today and snipped some greenery off the trees at the edge of our yard. Strictly, they're the neighbours' trees, strictly speaking, but the branches go over the boundary and into our yard. It's not like he's going to care. He's certainly not over proud of his yard. All right, I'm glad I left the iron on. I was considering turning the iron off before because I didn't think I needed it again, but I think I'm just going to give that a nice little press, as they say, because I do, slapdash as I am, I do believe in pressing at every step because it always works out better. Now, is that the right way around, or do I want it the other way around? Now, the good thing about it is if you feel like you didn't put the right side on there when it turned through, you can turn it that way. And actually, I prefer that side. So I'm going to just repress it that way out. And this wasn't quite right. Just try and roll that inside a bit more. Come on, in you go. So you don't top stitch around the whole thing. You just top stitch these two edges because you want the book page to go all the way up to that corner. So going up from a 2.2 to a 3.5 stitch length. And the nice thing is you can fold that back out of the way and do your sewing. I just want to test this out. So let's imagine I'm reading my Granny Square book. And I want to save that page. This is a good size. The ones I've seen before have always seemed to be way too small. There's a little bit of bulk in the seam, so it doesn't snug right up. But when you close the book, it sticks out a teeny bit. That's good. And it doesn't, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't mess up the page. So it'd be good for library books too. I like it. I'm going to pop that in that bag to go with that. And look for another tutorial. Now, this project is also going to be a gift to Mr. Stitches. So I'm hoping he doesn't walk in while I'm making it for him, because he'll be all excited about seeing me working with batiks. I went to Pin Cut Sew. She is Nikki, and I've done a couple of her tutorials in the past, I think. And she has this book sleeve pattern or tutorial, 3 different sizes of a padded bookcase. You'll see what I mean at the end. I made quite a lot of these a couple of years ago when I was doing the market. I don't think I sold many of them, but I didn't sell much of anything really. Sad. So she does the 3 sizes, and I still have one that is the medium size that I made. But I'm thinking it might be a little bit narrow for Mr. Stitches' library book, so I've added an inch to the width. So I have cut 2 pieces of the turtle. Oh, getting all stuck together here. I cut 2 pieces of the dark turtle fabric, some thin batting, some really, I don't know where I got this from. It's very cheap and nasty feeling. And they are 8.5 by 10.5. So the height is the same as her medium, but I'm doing it an inch wider just to allow for a thicker book. And then for the pocket fabric, I'm using this turtle fabric. I have a few. And So I will be placing that on the front there afterwards. Hoping you can still see that. Oh yes. And then the lining is this rather lovely blue. And I forgot to mention the pocket fabric is 8.5 by 14. So same as her measurement for the height, just an inch wider. You fold it in half because it's going to end up on the front of your book sleeve. And then I've got my linings. I have some snaps. I only need one set of snaps for the front pocket. And I have a rather gorgeous button for the back and a black elastic for looping onto the button. So once again, I have written down everything she said in the video. Well, a very shortened version of it. And I'm going to get on with the sewing. Fuse batting. Okay, I used my 505 basting spray because this is not a fusible batting. So that's done. Fold pocket in half, press and top stitch. Okay, we're going to top stitch. There's no need to back stitch because the ends of this are going to be into a seam, sewn into a seam. All right, place on the right side of exterior. Let's move those other pieces out of the way. Pocket on top of exterior. Don't have my clips. So what she does is she attaches the snap at this point. So I suppose I'd better do that and not just go my own way. The squeaky tool. Oh, all. It's ironic that since I bought a whole ton of those cam snaps, I've barely used any. But hey, it's a stash. It will get used eventually. There's my center. Let's just do that straight away through all the layers. I suppose what you could do is you could create an extra channel in this pocket for pens, a pen or pens. I may have done that with one of the ones I made, actually. I can't remember now. They are rather pretty when they work out. Every now and again, you get one that goes in a bit wonky. Completely user error. I'm not blaming the snaps at all. I've got to reach around all this fabric. I can see why some people buy the massive tool, the big freestanding, what do they call it, green machine or something like that, where it's got a big throat and you can reach far into the fabric rather than just something like this, which has a tiny area to reach. I'll make sure it's lined up because, believe me, these are a pain to pull out if you don't line them up right. I still don't like the way it looks. Snap is in. Okay, now I need to sew around the 3 sides, obviously not the top. I'm going to keep that long stitch length that I use for top stitching. I've sewn around within my seam allowance just to hold all the layers together. So that's that part done. Position, hair tie and baste. Okay, where's that little piece of elastic? Uh-oh, where did I put it? Here it is. And now I need to find the center again. So what Nikki does in the one she demos on the video, she puts a piece of rickrack here. And so what she does when she's finished the bag is she just pulls the rickrack over to the other side of the bag and wraps it around the button. But I'm going with this idea because I bought a whole card full of dollar store hair ties purely for this purpose. I think I'm going to leave about, let's see, 2/3 of it sticking out. Other exterior, hand stitch button on near center top. So I just realized if I sew this button on here, it could interfere when I am sewing the seam at the top. So I'm going to do it at the end. I will keep that needle and thread and button and do that later. So let's put these right sides together. I'm going to sew the sides and the bottom, but not across the top. This is a pretty standard bag making technique. I could be a rebel and go with the sewing the lining and the other part together across the top edge and then sewing all the way around. You know what? It probably wouldn't make any difference to the finished result. But we'll go with what the tutorial says. Flip and sew 3 sides together. I'll just do a little snip bottom here, these corners. I went a little wobbly there. I think I'm just going to redo that part. Now what I need to do is put the lining pieces right sides together. And we are going to sew the 2 sides and part of the bottom because you need to have a turning gap at the bottom. This is one of those times where it's worth remembering that if you make your seam allowance a little bit smaller on your lining, it'll fit better inside your outer. So I did do that at the bottom, but I didn't do it on the sides. I snip the corners just to try and reduce the bulk at the corners. Leave turning gap, leave the top open, insert outer into lining. So you're leaving your lining inside out. Something lumpy there. There we go. Turning this right side out. Put this in here. So the bags are right sides together. Yep, doing it the other way would probably have been a little less fiddly. So what I could have done is, as I said before, joined the lining and a outer together across the top edge. Same with the other side. Put those two pieces together and then sewn around. So yeah, the seams nest together nicely there. This is where you find out whether your seam allowance is matched up on your lining and your outer. Or whether you've got extra fabric. It's not the end of the world. If this doesn't fit really well together, you can faff about with the seam allowance on the lining a little bit just to make it a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. All is not lost. Don't want that thing. Oh, hang on a minute. Do I want that thing sticking out? Oh, you know what? I sewed this wrong. I have put this so that this is sticking out this way and it should be sticking out that way. Well, it's going to get unpicked for a second time. That was a rookie error. So what I should have done is found the join in the hair tie. You guys are probably shouting at me, weren't you, before? So you have to find the join there and you have to make sure it's on the inside of the bag, which means it needs to be sticking out above the level of the edge of the bag. And then this part is what's going to then become your loop. I can't believe I did that. Can't believe I did that wrong. It's been a while. I'm going to need to double check where my center is again now. Well, rain fart is over. I repositioned the loop so that the longest part of it was actually inside the layers. And this little joiny thing is going to be tucked away when the sewing is done. Now what I need to do is sew around the top. I may have made my seam allowances a bit big actually. I pretty much made them 3/8 of an inch and I think they were probably supposed to be 1/4. But seeing as I started out with a wider piece of fabric, I think it's going to be okay. To make it easier to sew this up neatly after, I'm just going to take this over to the iron and press these seam allowances back. Moment of truth. I'm going to top stitch after I've pressed it, and if my bobbin thread runs out while I'm top stitching, I will be very unimpressed. When I'm top stitching, I like to have my whole foot on the fabric, and this is the quilting walking foot is really wide. So what I do is I make sure that I'm following the edge of the fabric, but I move my needle over to the right so that it's closer, the stitching is closer to the edge, and that usually works out. It's a bit of a thick seam here, but hoping it handles it okay. Now I need to lengthen my stitch. And mustn't forget to sew up the gap in the lining. Because I pre-pressed it, goes together fairly easily there. It's a good idea to remember that you put your needle over to the left before you start sewing this part. I suppose when I'm sewing the button on, I can't put it too far down because I need to allow that there might be a bulky book in there, and it's got to stretch around and reach over the button. I don't want it to be too far to stretch, so I'll put it about here. I'll try not to go through the lining. It shouldn't be necessary to go through the lining. And there it is, all finished. Somewhere to put your pens or other bits and pieces that you might need. And piece of elastic that comes over and loops over the button to keep your book from sliding out while it's in your backpack or whatever. It's got a little bit of looseness to it to allow room for the thickness of the book. I don't know if it's going to fit in his gift bag. I might have to repack things here. Let's try that. So let's see. I think I might have to just fold that in half, put it in, put the little bookmark in there, and then all of the products, the lovely Body Shop olive products that I bought last week. There we go. And now the bag is nice and full and heavy. So how did you like my bookmark and my book sleeve? I think Mr. Stitches is going to like those, don't you? Let me show you the toadstools all finished and dry. How cute is that? Paint's all dry now. I think they're really fun. I may have gone a little bit fat with the stem on that one, but that's all right, it doesn't matter. Mushrooms and toadstools are all shapes and sizes, aren't they? I'm sure there are no two alike. So yes, that was a really fun day, playing with the button stash, playing with batiks. And I don't know if you can see, but just down here on the floor, I have all the branches that I cut today, and maybe tomorrow I will be focusing on getting all of the fall stuff off my kitchen windowsill and making it more winter appropriate. Thanks very much for being here today. Hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to leave a comment. I do read and respond to all comments, so let me know what you're making. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.